Thank you, Jay, and good afternoon. My name is Steve Brown, and I'm going to explain to you in the next 40 minutes why I think we will see more technological-driven change in the next 5 years than in the last 50. AI is going to change everything about everything that we do. It will change everything about the way you do business. It will change the way you live your lives. It will change the way we communicate with each other, change the way we educate our kids. So in the next 40 minutes, I want to explain to you, build you a picture of what that future looks like. I'm not going to go into details of what's the latest AI trading platform or what might be a new financial strategy based on it. I'm just going to give you the big picture on where the world is going in the next 5 years. So buckle up. So Jay gave you the introduction. This is the why should I listen to Steve slide. You already heard a little bit about me. I worked at Intel for many years, started with a good head of hair. And most recently, I worked for Google DeepMind. DeepMind is Google's AI research lab based in London. I live in Portland, Oregon, despite my outrageous British accent. I've lived in America for 28 years or so. And at both Intel and DeepMind, I was a futurist. And my job as a futurist is to imagine what does the world look like a few years from now, and what are the things that we're going to build to help shape that world. It's not just me who thinks the world is going to change. Futurist Ray Kurzweil says, during the next decade, humanity will make a century's worth of progress. A century's worth of progress. Think about where the world was in 1925. Flapper dresses and cars that looked very different than what we have today. The world is going to change rapidly. Now, why is that the case? In the first few phases of the Industrial Revolution, we focused on building mechanical muscles to extend human strength, stamina, and build machines that help to do physical work for us. And you see pictures of some of them on the slide here. What we're in the process of now doing in this next phase of the Industrial Revolution is to build mechanical minds. Mechanical minds that will support us in doing knowledge work and in some cases take on that knowledge work. So we're entering into a new technological era, a new industrial era. And what defines an industrial era is when a general purpose technology like electricity, I have an electric car, there's a PowerPoint presentation running on electricity, it's probably heated in this room with electric power, there are lights shining on me that are electric. A general purpose technology, the cost of that general purpose technology heads down towards zero. We're about to enter an era where the cost of powerful, capable intelligence heads down towards zero, where workers will work for electrons rather than dollars. And that changes everything. Now, as a futurist, I'm used to looking forward. And one of the ways you look forward is you take inspiration from the past. So if you think about what we went through in the last 25 years or so with the internet, it wasn't like in 1999 you could just say, okay, we've got a .com, check, we've done the internet. There were many things that businesses had to do after that as waves of innovation and change came about. If you were a product company, you had to figure out e-commerce and fulfillment and warehouses and how you took orders and payments. Then came social media. You had to respond to reviews and figure out digital marketing strategies online. The cloud came and suddenly you bought software online rather than a box. Mobile came, you had to figure out how to reach your customers through mobile apps. There's just been waves of change that businesses have had to adapt to over about a 25-year period. It won't be any different with AI. It's not like you can check, I figured out ChatGPT, I'm done. There are going to be waves of change through this intelligence build-out. We had expert systems in the 90s where AI was encoded with rules that humans made up. Machine learning then figured out how to infer rules from data. Generative AI got everyone excited with ChatGPT back in November. And now we're moving into the next phases. I'm going to talk about the next 3 phases in the rest of this talk, which is agentic AI, spatial AI, and physical AI beyond that. There are more phases beyond that, But in the scope of today, I'm going to focus on those three. And your role, all of our role, everybody on the planet's role, is to learn how to surf every one of those waves so that you're ready. And that's what my goal today is, to help you be ready for these waves when they come crashing into shore. So here's what I'm going to talk about. I'll do a quick review of where AI is today, then take you on what's the future trajectory. I'm a future boy. I better take you into the future. And then we'll think about what does it all mean for us. So let's start with AI today. AI has been around for a while. This is not, my dance card is full at the moment. Everybody wants to hear about AI like it's a new thing. We've had AI in our lives for 10, 15 years, often not knowing it. It's what filters your spam for you. It's behind credit checks. You might use it when you are optimizing your portfolio, pricing an asset, running analytics, doing underwriting of a loan. All of these things are using AI under the hood. And you can think about that as sort of classic AI. It's finding patterns and clusters in data. When you use Netflix, it's what recommends, these are the movies you probably want to watch. These are the shows you're probably not that interested in. That is AI clustering and organizing data. And some examples of AI. This is an AI that counts sheep. I know we're in a darkened room. I shouldn't show you this too long. I don't want you to get sleepy. But simple example, AI that counts sheep. This is a slightly more sophisticated AI. It's looking for naughty behavior in a warehouse. People who are behaving irresponsibly and not using safety. And then you have AIs, much like the one that makes recommendations in Netflix, that can optimize data, in this case, optimizing the routes of trucks. FedEx in the Central Valley in California used this routific AI, and it cut the number of trucks they needed by 5. They used 5 less trucks. They used to have 20, now they have 15. So these are the types of AIs that have been around for quite a while. What's now taking hold is this notion of generative AI. Instead of sorting and organizing data, now you're creating and generating new data from an old data set. And that's what's ChatGPT, the image creators, video creators, and so on. There are lots of examples that we're starting to all get familiar with about what you can generate. The best way to bring this to life is to actually show you a video. I'm a visual person, so I'm going to show you a video that I put together that just gives you a feel for the types of things that are possible with AI today. And I wanted to have a soundtrack, so you'd have some music to listen to. Any Coldplay fans here in the room? Don't be shy, it's not to be embarrassed about it. It's all right. Any Frank Sinatra fans here in the room? There's always more Frank Sinatra fans than Coldplay fans in the room. Okay. What you're going to hear as a soundtrack as you watch this video is a Coldplay song sung by Frank Sinatra. And this Coldplay song was released almost 10 years to the day after Frank Sinatra died. So some AI trickery may be at work. Enjoy.
I used to rule the world. Seas would rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone. The streets I used to hold. I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes, listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, long live the king. 1 minute I held the key, next the walls were closed on me, and I discovered my castle stand upon pillars of sun, the pillars of sand. In Jerusalem bells are ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, my sword, my shield, my nation and reason of foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, Once you're gone, there was never in all this world. And that was when I ruled the world. It was the wicked and wild wind blew down the door and turned at me in. Shattered window, then the sound of drums. Deep through the day, what I'd become. Revolutionaries they wait for my head on the silver plate. Just a puppet on a rolling string. Well, who would ever want to be king? Here Jerusalem bells are ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, my sword, my shield, partition no reason to fall me. For some reason I can't explain, I know St. Peter won't call my name, never in all this world, but that was when I ruled the world.
So that's what it can do today, and it's just getting started. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. I always believe, I used to teach presentation skills, every presentation should have at least one puppy in it, so that was today's puppies for you. The big tech companies believe this is the future. Just this year, these 5 companies, these 5 major tech companies, between them in AI infrastructure, they've invested will invest $320 billion. So that's where we're at today. Where are we going next? Let's start with agentic AI. This is the flavor of 2025, and 2025 is when you're going to see agents start to show up, and then I think they'll deploy broadly in 2026 and 2027. So what is an AI agent? An AI agent is an AI that is able to not only have action, it has agency, but it is able to reason and think its way through a problem. The great book, Thinking Fast and Slow, describes 2 thinking systems in our brains. The first is system 1. If I ask you, what's 2 plus 2? You're in finance, you should know. You don't know. The answer is 4, okay? But we know that reflexively, right? It's just a reflexive recall. That's system 1 thinking. It turns out ChatGPT, it seems amazing, but it's all reflexive recall thinking. It's system 1 thinking. What's been missing until recently is system 2 thinking. If I ask you how many golf balls would fit inside a Toyota Camry, you have to think through that. Size of a golf ball, rough volume, okay, you can sort of reason your way through it. AIs are now gaining this reasoning ability, and that's a foundation. You think of large language models like ChatGPT, add reasoning over the top. The next layer is to give that model agency, and that's when you get agentic AI, an agent. And what that looks like is a core agent, which has the ability to reason, to take a complex task, and then break it down into subtasks, plan how to achieve that goal, and then go and execute on it. It executes using a set of tools. There's an emerging standard for that called MCP. And then it takes input as well. So it has sensor input. If it's a robot, it's going to have machine vision. If it's a sensor working on your laptop, it's going to have a view of your screen and perhaps be able to operate your browser and do things on your behalf. So that's what an agent is. I think we're moving to a world where we could see 1 trillion agents. Agents that have the ability to reason, to remember, to learn our preferences, to improve over time by learning what they did wrong so they can get it right next time. And some of them will even operate in swarms, working together on our behalf. A swarm sounds a bit like bees, but it's just a term of art in the industry. So imagine agents roaming around your corporate network looking for intrusions, so keeping you safe from cyber attacks. Imagine agents watching over a public space, watching every single video camera to look for suspicious behavior, perhaps someone trying to attack. And you see agents working together, perhaps in a marketing situation, where you might say, hey, I need a new campaign to market my new product and launch it. Here's the parameters, go. The agent will then go and create other agents, one that does the visuals, one that does the broadcast strategy, one that does the social media strategy, one that comes up with a finance plan, and then it comes all back to you, presents the whole plan to you, and maybe that takes 10 minutes. So we're moving into a world of 1 trillion AI agents, and there'll be all different types and flavors of agents. Agents that teach us things, agents that help monitor our health, agents that help us to research things at work, ones that work in the background to optimize traffic flow, to maintain inventory levels, to fast trade stocks. So you can imagine high-frequency trading agents. So there are lots of different ways these agents are going to show up in our lives. I think there are going to be 3 primary flavors. Initial agents are going to be focused on offload, taking the work that we don't want to do and taking those tasks on for us, kind of taking the suck out of our jobs, is the way I heard one person describe it. As they mature, I think you'll then get agents that are designed to work much more closely with us. Instead of offloading tasks, they're partnering with us to elevate our performance. When I say performance, not productivity. Elevating our performance means productivity, efficiency, creativity, intuition, decision-making ability, wisdom, knowledge, all of it. So making us into superhuman people. And then there'll be AIs that will extend, agents that work closely with us and extend our abilities, giving us the ability to sense new things, to make decisions in different ways, and perhaps even mitigating the weaknesses that we might have. Now, the way these digital workers are going to show up is they're going to feel like super smart, PhD level, but really naive interns that occasionally make mistakes. So we're going to have to oversee them, but they're going to work for us. And they're going to be able to do deep research, to explore the web, pull information together. They'll be able to handle quite complex tasks. And they'll be able to use a browser to do things on our behalf. Now, initially, it'll be a text interface, then it'll quickly move to voice, and then ultimately, there'll be a 3D avatar that you can talk to. It'll feel like just talking to somebody on a Zoom call. So that is what your very near future holds. We'll give you a few examples of what's already available. OpenAI has a product called Deep Research. It's aimed at the finance, policymakers, science and engineering sectors. It's able to use a web browser. It can do multi-step research. You give it a quite complex task. It will break it down, find all the parts, summarize the information, and bring it back to you. Find the 10Ks from all of these companies, pull this information together, present it to me in this way, and it will go do it. At the moment, it can output text, images in a PDF form. What's coming next is visualizations and graphics. So all kinds of opportunities for doing research and offloading that task and making things go quicker for you. Give you another example. This is from Stanford University. They've been creating what they call a virtual lab. A human scientist, we've still got human scientists, they spawn these AIs, they create one which is a principal investigator. And in this case, they wanted to investigate, try and understand how the COVID virus might evolve over time. So they went to this AI and said, okay, assemble your team. It's like Avengers. Assemble. And they asked it, what 3 characteristics, what 3 people would you want to assemble? And it said, I want to assemble an immunologist, a machine learning specialist, and a computational biologist. So it created those 3 AIs, just basically a chat GPT, but they told it, you are an immunologist and have all the knowledge of an immunologist. They had all of these work together and basically have meetings and debate, and they came back with quite useful insights that were useful to Stanford as they figured out where they want to go with their research. Google created a platform called Co-Scientist. The scientists that used it at University College London, or I think it was Imperial College actually, they had been researching superbugs and how they are able to defy antibiotics in hospitals. Their theory was that they grow into strings, basically grow long tails. And that helps them evade all of the cleaning protocols. When they gave this AI 2 days to think through this problem, it came up with the same hypothesis that had taken them 10 years to reach. So that's agents. And they're going to change everything about work, and they're coming to a workplace near you soon. Let's talk about spatial AI next. This is the idea that AIs at the moment are based on language, that what they learn about the world is through the lens of language. These next AIs, the next class of AIs, are going to be able to understand 3D spaces, understand the relationship between objects, and understand physics and the real world. So that if I drop an object, it's going to fall. They understand gravity. That if I hide behind this podium, I haven't disappeared, I'm still here. Babies know that, but AIs don't. So these are the types of things that AIs are having to learn. And what are the applications of this? Well, we've been talking about self-driving cars for a long time. That's fundamentally a spatial AI problem, understanding the objects in the real world and being able to navigate a car through them. Next generation robotics, which we'll talk about in a moment, are the other thing that will benefit from spatial AI, also known as world models. And you're also going to get a range of next generation assistants on your phone and ultimately in our glasses. The best way to bring that to life again is with a cheeky little video. Now, when I worked at DeepMind, I'm not allowed to talk about what I worked on because I signed NDAs up the yin-yang, but what I can say is I was helping them to think through the future of assistants, and I'm very proud of the direction they've taken with this video. So this is going to be a short demo so you can see their new assistant, which is called Project Astra, and it's being used in first case on a phone and in the second case on a pair of glasses. This is a real demo.
Okay, let's do some tests. Tell me when you see something that makes sound.
I see a speaker, which makes sound.
What is that part of the speaker called?
That is the tweeter. It produces high-frequency sounds.
Give me a creative alliteration about these.
Creative crayons color cheerfully. They certainly craft colorful creations.
What does that part of the code do?
This code defines encryption and decryption functions. It seems to use AES-CVC encryption to encode and decode data based on a key and an initialization vector, IV.
That's right. What neighborhood do you think I'm in?
This appears to be the King's Cross area of London. It is known for its railway station and transportation connections.
Do you remember where you saw my glasses?
Yes, I do. Your glasses were on the desk near a red apple.
What can I add here to make this system faster?
Adding a cache between the server and database could improve speed.
What does this remind you of?
Schrodinger's cat.
All right, give me a band name for this duo.
Golden Stripes.
Nice. Thanks, Gemini.
Perhaps every video should have a puppy. So that's what Project Astra can do today. Imagine what it'll be able to do 6 months from now. AI is the worst it's ever going to be today. It's only going to keep getting better and better. Now, if you take agentic AI, the ability to break down tasks, complex tasks into subtasks, and then execute on them, and then you use spatial AI and combine those together, you're able to build physical AI, where AI gets physical and comes into our world and is able to have agency, physical agency in our world. I'm talking about robots. Now, we had a cute little robot here on stage, and we've been watching science fiction movies and reading science fiction books for decades. And you probably all have your favorite android or robot from those times. I'm showing some of them on the screen here. But they've always been trapped in the pages of those science fiction books or up on the silver screen. Now they're finally starting to become a reality. Now, what's changed? What's changed is a number of technology breakthroughs have all happened at the same time. So batteries have been improved over time because of electric vehicles. And we're now able to have a battery life that for a robot, which allows it to do useful work. It doesn't have to be tethered to a power supply all the time. Electric motors have got better, more accurate, smaller, lightweight materials for the infrastructure of the robot, new sensors and machine vision. The sensors, by the way, coming from our cameras, they've been refined over the last 15 years or so. And then generative and agentic AI to enable you to talk to the robot and also for it to understand tasks and break them down into movements. Now, the other reason why now? We're going to need them. As of the most recent statistics from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, 7.7 million US job openings as of January. That's the most recent figures available. It's been hovering around that mark for quite some time. This is a structural issue. This is a demographic issue. We're just not going to have enough workers available to do all the jobs that need to be done, particularly physical jobs. And so there's really only two ways you fix that, either through automation or immigration. Immigration's kind of off the table right now, so automation it is. Now, what I'm talking about is not your grandfather's robot. This is the very first mobile robot. Its name was Shaky, kind of a cool name, from Stanford University from 1972. We've come a long way in 50 years. These are the robots that I'm talking about now. The best way, again, to show you this is just to show you. So this is a montage I put together of some of the latest robots doing their robot things. There are no special effects used here, and these are actual robots under robotic control. They're not being remote controlled by somebody else, okay? Real robots doing real robot things. Buckle up. Creeped out? Yeah. Yeah, that one that, I've seen that video many times, and it still freaks me out every time I see it. So, yeah, robots have changed a bit. The leading robot company is less than 3 years old. Their CEO, Brett Adcock, is surprised by the progress his own robots are making. It is changing so quickly. So we're going to need these robots to fill the gaps in corporate labor, and there are 2.3 billion consumer households. Do you want a robot in your home to shake you a martini when you come home from a hard day's work? So you never have to load the dishwasher again? So you never have to fold laundry? You never have to mow the lawn if you have a lawn? A lot of people are interested in having a robot in the home. And then ultimately, long-term science fiction, if we want to mine asteroids to get all the materials off them. We don't want to send, needy organic flesh bags into space that need water and air. You might as well send a robot to do that and just power them off a solar panel. More importantly, though, robots free us from robotic work. Most of the work that robots will be good for is not fun work. It is dirty, dangerous, and dull. Very repetitive stuff. So we give an example of one of the leading robots from a company called Figure. This is Figure 2. It can carry a 20-kilogram payload, that's 32 pounds. It runs for 5 hours on a battery. So not quite a full shift yet, but pretty good, and it'll get better over time. It walks at 2.7 miles per hour. Now, why is that important? So you can outrun it. That's why. Now, the big breakthrough with these robots is, the first thing, it used to be when you were programming a robot, you would have to say, move arm forward, down, grip, lift. And you had to program it step by step. That's how robots used to work. Now, these robots, because of the AI that's inside them, they're able to watch a human perform a task a few times. So they observe, they learn, and then they practice and try themselves, and then they eventually get the hang of it. That's how you program robots now. And you can talk to them. So you can give them commands, and they will execute on those commands. So it's a complete voice interface, and they will even talk back to you and explain why they're doing what they're doing. Best way to bring this to life is to show you an example of Figure 1, its predecessor.
Hey, Figure 1, what do you see right now?
I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
Great. Can I have something to eat?
Sure thing. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
Based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next?
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Great. Can you put them there?
Of course.
It feels like science fiction, looks like science fiction. And we're sort of used to seeing those scenes because they're faked by Hollywood with special effects. That is a real robot doing real robot things. And robots are currently the worst they're ever going to be. As these robots learn new tasks, when you teach one robot how to do something, they all learn how to do something. Makes it much easier from training in the manufacturing realm because they just will learn tasks, they're able to do them day one. They don't call in sick. They work 24 hours a day if you charge them up enough. How many robots will be among us? There are 8 billion human beings on the planet right now. There are projections we could be sharing planet Earth with up to 10 billion humanoid robots. Now, when is that going to happen? Projections vary. Bank of America recently put out a projection where they say 3 billion by 2060. Others are saying, I think it's more like 1 billion in 2040, which tracks with that. There are some people who think 10 billion by 2040, 15 years from now. And that's overcalling it, but you get a feel for this is going to be a gigantic industry. In fact, Vinod Khosla, co-founder of Sun Microsystems and a sort of legendary VC in the tech world, says in the next 15 to 20 years, bipedal robots will be a larger industry in dollars than the current auto industry. I think he's absolutely right. There is a gigantic market for these, and these robots will be used to build other robots. Now think about what it means. The cost of most goods is the cost of labor. If you can significantly reduce the cost of labor, the cost of all goods goes plummeting down. This is incredibly deflationary. So what does it all mean? When we have agentic AI, spatial AI, physical AI coming very rapidly, what does it mean for all of us? Well, first of all, I showed you that video with Frank Sinatra serenading us, and I showed you some of the things that AI can do today. generating answers, images, videos. What's coming next is, we've already seen, protein structures, being able to predict accurately the structure of a protein. DeepMind did that with 200 million proteins and released that data to the scientific community. I'll talk about that in a second. It's also generating scientific hypotheses. There's an AI called Sakana that writes scientific research papers, does its own research on AI. There are AIs being built to generate new materials so that we might have some breakthroughs in material science, new alloys. People are using it for drug design and pharmaceuticals. What's coming next is protein design. So not just decoding the structure of a protein, but designing a new one that we want to build because it has a purpose. Designing synthetic organisms. So an organism, for example, an enzyme that we can release into the ocean to eat up all the microplastic. Or I can't remember the word, my brain's gone. A small creature that can basically take in materials and poop out an energy source, so create biomass. So you're going to see AIs that can create novel inventions. That's the next big thing. Patents, it's very hard today to program a quantum computer. Maybe AI is going to help us come up with new novel quantum algorithms so we get the most out of quantum computing. As we have to start thinking about, is there a new economic model we need for a post-labor AI world? Maybe AI can help us with that and coming up with policy to help us navigate through that. So AI is going to be a tool to help us deal with some serious issues and serious challenges that face us as a species. I mentioned the proteins. These are what proteins look like, the sort of weird structures. If you know the structure of a protein, a bit like if you see a machine, you can figure out roughly what it does. So DeepMind decoded 200 million proteins, gave that information away to the medical community. It'll fuel drug discovery for the next 10 or 20 years. There are about 10,000 known diseases. There's a good chance, with an audience of this size, somebody in this room right now will have their life saved by an AI's discovery. If not you, then the life of one of your children. AI is going to be a massive tool for pushing the boundaries of healthcare and medical science. Your next coworker might well be a machine. That could happen as early as this year. And what it means is, as these agents take off, everybody, no matter how junior they are in an organization, will become a manager of digital workers. Workers that are there to help elevate their performance and offload the menial tasks they don't want to do, to take the suck out of their jobs. It also means that most web traffic will be agents out there surfing information on their owners' behalves. What it means is people who are designing websites need to think about two front doors, one for humans and one for agents. It means that tomorrow's workforce will be a blend of humans, digital workers in the form of agents, and robot workers all working together. The companies that are the most successful 10 years from now are the ones who figured out how to blend all of those together, how to build trust between those three elements and help them work together most effectively. And the way that's going to happen is through a process called process orchestration. The challenge for every business in the next 5 years, the next year actually starting, is to break down every business process and ask the question, for each of those tasks, which of them is best done by a human and which of them is best done by either an agent or a robot? And if it's done by an agent, what type of agent should it be? Should it be an agent that offloads that task? An agent that works closely to elevate the human's performance and execution of that task, or to extend that human's abilities so they can perform that task better? The reason you do that is that each of these has different strengths and weaknesses. Still a lot of things in the human court. We're not done yet. But this is the thinking that every business is going to need to go through in the future. And there's early evidence. There's a case study in Harvard Business Review. There's lots of examples of people using this in sales support, customer support, pairing an agent with a human being to elevate their performance and allow them to deliver better results. I also think the next form factor is going to be here. It doesn't mean you won't need your smartphone anymore the same way you don't need your laptop or your tablet anymore. It's just another form factor that will add value to our lives. So we wrap this up by, well, where does this all go next? Human level intelligence is not that far away. When I speak to experts in the industry, and I say, well, when's it coming? When's it coming? The answer is somewhere between never and a year from now. So it's between those two. Mostly people saying sort of 2027, 2028 timeframe for human level intelligence known as artificial general intelligence. And the path to that is that the next step beyond agents is innovators, AIs that don't just regurgitate and respond with information that we already know, but ones that help us come up with novel, breakthrough new ideas. And then beyond that, AIs that can manage a whole part of an organization. And if that sounds far-fetched, there's an interesting white paper out there called Situational Awareness, written by an ex-OpenAI employee. And one of the charts in that shows the potential for, as AI gets better and better, eventually you can automate the process of AI research. At that point, you get this cycle where you might have a very quick takeoff of AI. So it feels like this is where you are in human progress. You got it right. We're about to see a step function change in the way that we live our lives. And it will have profound implications for the future of work. And this is my final idea, and then I'll wrap this up. So at the moment, we do normal work. What's coming next is we get paired with agents, and we move into the era of augmented work, where most work becomes augmented with an agent helping us do what we do. As AI gets better, as robots come into the world, you're then going to move into the era of augmented work. And not all work is going to be automated. Automated work. Not all work is going to be automated. Some work will still be done by humans, probably supported by AI. That work will be about human connection and trust. So if you're wondering, oh my God, have I lost my job with all this AI that Steve's told me is coming? No. Focus and double down on your own humanity, about personal connection, building trust with your clients. That's not going to get automated. So get ready for successive waves of change. 2025 is going to be the year that agents first burst onto the scene. And then beyond that, human level AI is going to change everything, changing the world of work, the way that we live our lives. The challenge I have for you all is, how are you going to prepare for this AI future that's coming all of our way? I don't want just to shock you and then walk off the stage. I also want to help you. I do a free newsletter. It's written for business leaders by me. It's not written by an AI. It's something like, it just comes out once a week, and it's designed to help you stay current on what is happening in the world of AI. I also produced a resource. I kept getting asked for it every time I walked off a keynote stage, and I called it Artificial Wisdom. It's an online resource you can get, which tells you what books to read, what podcasts to listen to, if you want to learn more about AI, and that's the link for how you get it. I'm over time, and I'm going to send us all to break now. I'll hand it back to Jay, but I'm going to be out in the lobby, so if you have questions, come and find me there. I've told you a lot about the future of AI and what it means for us all, but I still believe, deep in my soul, the future is still human. Thanks for your time and attention.